When a man truly listens to a woman, he communicates far more than interest in her words. He communicates respect for her mind and value for her humanity. And I'm not talking about the casual, half-distracted kind of listening we all fall into when our phone is buzzing or our thoughts are already racing ahead to what we want to say next. I'm talking about with complete presence. The kind of attention where she feels the rest of the world has been muted, and in that moment, the only thing that matters is understanding her. You'd be surprised how rare this is. Most gonna make life. Most people listen just long enough to respond. They're not listening to understand. They're waiting for their turn to speak, or worse, rehearsing their counterpoint before the other person has even finished their sentence. But when a man truly listens without interrupting, without rushing to judge or solve, he does something extraordinary. He creates space. Space for her to explore her thoughts, to feel her emotions fully, to share without the fear of being dismissed. And here's where the psychology comes in. Because this isn't just a matter of manners, it's a matter of human connection. When we feel heard, our brain responds with a cocktail of positive emotions: safety, trust, warmth. Dopamine fires because being understood is deeply rewarding. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, rises because feeling heard feels like belonging. So when a man listens with full attention, he is not only hearing her words, he's building emotional chemistry on a subconscious level. It's important to understand that true listening requires more than silence. Silence can be empty. It's about active engagement. Eye contact that says, "I'm here with you." Nods that show you're following. Questions that invite her to go deeper. Reflecting back the essence of what she said to let her know you actually understood, not just heard. It's the difference between a conversation that passes the time and a connection that changes the relationship. And yet, listening is not about surrendering your voice or pretending to agree with everything she says. Women respect men who think for themselves. In fact, real listening sets the stage for authentic dialogue, because when she feels heard, she's more open to hearing you. It's reciprocal. It's like saying, "I value your perspective and understand it before I offer mine." That's a mark of intellectual strength, not weakness. Philosophically, you could say that listening is an act of humility. It's a quiet acknowledgement that you don't hold all the answers, that someone else's experiences, perceptions, and truths have weight. And in a world obsessed with broadcasting our own voices, humility becomes magnetic. There's an elegance in restraint. A man who can resist the urge to dominate the conversation signals that he's in control of himself. And self-control is a form of power that women instinctively admire. Now, if you think about relationships, whether romantic, familial, or professional, most conflicts spiral not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't truly heard. A woman might be expressing hurt, but if a man hears it only as criticism, he responds defensively. She withdraws, walls go up. But when a man listens with the intent to truly understand, he hears the emotion beneath the words. He catches the vulnerability that may be disguised as frustration. And in that moment, he can respond to what she's really feeling, not just to the surface reaction. And this is why men who listen are so deeply desired. Not just respected, but you desired. Because a woman's attraction is not only physical, it's emotional and intellectual. She's drawn to the man who makes her feel safe to open up. She's drawn to the man who remembers the details she thought he'd forget. She's drawn to the man who can sit in her storm without trying to control the weather, simply offering the steady presence that says, "I'm here. You matter. I'm listening." B. This isn't about rehearsing perfect lines or memorizing relationship tricks. It's about cultivating a mindset that says, every person I engage with has a story worth hearing, and I have the patience and depth to hear it. When you carry that into your relationships, you become rare. And in a world where genuine human connection is becoming a lost art, rarity is irresistible. So the next time you speak with a woman, whether it's a first date, a long-term partner, or someone you've just met, practice the discipline of full attention. Listen as if she's the only voice in the world for those few minutes. Don't listen just to respond. Listen to understand. Because in the end, it's not your words that will be remembered most. It's the way you made her feel while you heard hers. When you master the art of listening, you don't just win attention, you earn trust. And trust is the foundation of desire. A confidence is one of the most misunderstood qualities in men. Too many confuse it with arrogance, thinking that speaking the loudest, taking up the most space, or always having the last word makes them look powerful. But the truth is, arrogance is simply insecurity dressed in expensive clothing. It shouts because it's afraid it won't be heard otherwise. Confidence, real confidence, doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to prove. It's simply you is you. When a man is truly confident, his presence changes the room. Not because he forces people to notice him, but because people can feel his grounded energy. There's a steadiness to him, an ease in his body language, a calm in his voice. It's not about being flashy or dominating every conversation. It's about the quiet assurance that he knows who he is and doesn't need external validation to feel whole. And here's the psychological reality: women are highly attuned to authenticity. They can sense, almost instinctively, whether a man's confidence is genuine or a mask for insecurity. This comes from evolution. Because for thousands of years, women had to assess whether a man could provide safety and stability. A man who is easily rattled, who needs constant reassurance, signals instability. A man who is secure in himself, who doesn't crumble under pressure, communicates safety. and safety, combined with strength, is deeply attractive. Philosophically, confidence is the absence of desperation. It's knowing you have value whether others acknowledge it or not. Arrogance, on the other hand, is fueled by a constant hunger for acknowledgement, for superiority. That's why arrogant men often try to diminish others, to create the illusion that they're higher by making someone else lower. True confidence doesn't need that. It lifts others because it's not threatened by their light. The distinction is also clear in how a confident man responds to challenges. An arrogant man will deflect blame or double down when he's wrong because his ego can't handle imperfection. A confident man admits mistakes, owns them, learns from them, because his sense of self isn't fragile. He understands that growth is more valuable than looking perfect. And when a woman sees that, she doesn't just admire him, she trusts him. Because trust grows when you know someone will be honest, even when it costs them. And let's talk about self-awareness here, because it's the backbone of confidence. A man who knows his strengths, but also his limitations, operates from reality. He's not inflating his worth, he's not hiding his flaws, he accepts himself as a work in progress, and that acceptance frees him from the exhausting game of image management. Women respect that kind of realness. They may admire a man's achievements, but they reconnect with his authenticity. Confidence also manifests in how a man carries himself in social dynamics. You'll notice he doesn't need to dominate the spotlight. Yet when he speaks, people lean in. He's not chasing approval, but his presence naturally draws it. That's because confidence is magnetic. It signals competence, stability, and leadership without demanding it. And here's the subtle beauty: a confident man can make a woman feel like the most important person in the room without losing any of his own sense of worth. There's also a balance here that matters. Too little confidence and you come across as hesitant, unsure, and easy to overlook. Too much and it tips into arrogance, which feels dismissive, controlling, even unsafe. The sweet spot is when your self-assurance invites connection rather than shuts it down. That's the kind of energy that not only draws women in, but keeps them engaged over the long term. And confidence is built, not bestowed. It comes from discipline. Keeping promises to yourself, following through on what you say you'll do, facing discomfort rather than avoiding it. Every time you do hard things, you prove to yourself that you can. And over time, that proof compounds into an unshakable inner belief. You don't need to convince others, you are convinced. That's the shift. So, if you want to be the man women desire, don't focus on theatrics. Focus on substance. Build a life you're proud of. Develop skills that matter. Keep your word. Carry yourself like you have nothing to prove and everything to give. When you walk into a room, let your presence speak before your mouth ever opens. Because in the end, confidence whispers where arrogance screams. Gonna make life, and when you've done the work to truly know your worth, you'll find you don't need to be the loudest man in the room. Just the most certain. The man who knows who he is will always be more attractive than the man still trying to convince the world. When a woman says she wants to feel safe with a man, she's not just talking about whether you can protect her from physical harm. She's talking about a deeper kind of safety, emotional safety. The kind that allows her to drop her guard, to show her vulnerabilities, to share her fears without worrying that they'll be used against her later. And that type of safety doesn't come from muscle, or from how loudly you can claim you'll defend her. It comes from the way you carry yourself in every interaction, the way you respond to her when she's at her most unguarded. Emotional safety is the foundation of real attraction. Without it, even the most exciting connection will eventually crumble, because without trust, there can be no depth. And trust is born from consistency. It's in the little things: showing up when you say you will, keeping her confidences, reacting with steadiness instead of volatility. It's in proving through your actions over and over again that she doesn't have to brace herself when she's around you. There's a psychological principle here worth noting. The human nervous system is constantly scanning for danger. It's part of our survival wiring. If a woman's nervous system associates you with unpredictability, criticism, or volatility, she won't be able to relax with you. Her guard will stay up even if she's drawn to you physically. On the other hand, when you consistently respond with respect, patience, and clarity, her nervous system learns I'm safe here. And when a woman feels safe, she can bring her whole self into the relationship. Her warmth, her humor, her passion, her tenderness. This is where many men get it wrong. They assume that being protective means stepping in to solve every problem, controlling situations, or shielding her from all discomfort. But control is not safety, it's the opposite. Real safety means she feels free to make her own choices, to speak her mind without fear of being shut down, to express herself without being told she's too much or not enough. It's the knowledge that you'll stand beside her, not over her. And this isn't just a personal preference. It's rooted in biology. When a woman feels genuinely safe, her body produces less cortisol, the stress hormone, and more oxytocin, the bonding hormone. That shift isn't just emotional, it's chemical. Safety deepens attachment on a primal level. It's why a man who can keep his cool in conflict, who can be a calm presence during chaos, often becomes the one she can't stop thinking about, because his steadiness becomes a refuge. Philosophically, providing safety is about discipline. It's about mastering yourself before you try to lead or protect anyone else. If you can't regulate your own emotions, You can't create stability for someone else. If you're quick to anger, quick to blame, or quick to withdraw, you're teaching her that she can't predict how you'll show up. And unpredictability breeds anxiety, not attraction. Creating safety doesn't mean you never challenge her. In fact, healthy challenge is part of growth. But it means that even in disagreement, you're not attacking her character, you're not making her feel small. It's the difference between saying, "I don't agree with you on this," and saying, "You're wrong and ridiculous for thinking that." The first invites conversation. The second builds walls. And yes, physical safety still matters. Knowing that you'll step forward in her defense if someone disrespects her in public, that you won't let harm come to her if it's within your power to stop it, that matters. But it's the combination of physical protection and emotional refuge that makes a man unforgettable. One without the other is incomplete. When a woman feels both emotionally and physically safe with you, something shifts. She doesn't just trust you, she invests in you. She'll share her dreams, her fears, her wildest ambitions. She'll let you see the parts of her that she hides from the rest of the world. And that's where the real connection happens. Not in the grand gestures, but in the quiet moments when she knows she can breathe fully in your presence. So if you want to be the man women desire, focus less on proving your strength and more on demonstrating your steadiness. Be the man whose word means something. The man whose presence calms more than it stirs chaos. The man who doesn't just claim he'll protect her, but proves through his actions that with him, she's safe to be exactly who she is, because in the end, the most attractive man isn't the one who makes heart race for a moment, it's the one who makes her heart feel at home. One of the most overlooked qualities that makes a man truly desirable is his ability to respect a woman's boundaries while still valuing her independence. It sounds simple, but in reality, this is where a lot of relationships fracture, because too many men confuse closeness with control or mistake love for possession. They think that if she's yours, it means she should be available whenever you want her attention, that her priorities should automatically align with yours, or that her world should shrink to fit into your life. But here's the truth: attraction isn't sustained by control, it's sustained by freedom. A woman's independence is not a threat to your place in her life. In fact, it's one of the reasons she becomes more magnetic to you in the first place. The passion she pursues, the friendship she maintains, the goals she chases. These are the things that keep her energy alive. When you respect that, you're not just giving her space, you're showing that you have the emotional maturity and confidence to love her without needing to cage her. Psychologically, this is rooted in a basic human need: autonomy. Every person, man or woman, wants to feel that they are free to make their own choices, to direct their own lives. When someone tries to control that, whether through criticism, guilt, or constant demands, it creates resistance. The mind instinctively pushes back against whatever feels like a threat to freedom. This is why clinginess or controlling behavior often drives people away, even when the intention behind it is love. It's not that they don't care, it's that they can't breathe. On the other hand, when a man respects a woman's boundaries, something powerful happens. She actually wants to draw closer. She feels safe to be herself without worrying she'll be judged or punished for it. And this safety makes her more willing to share her life with you. It's counterintuitive to some men, but giving her space doesn't create distance. It builds trust. And trust is what makes intimacy deeper, not shallower. There's also a philosophical principle here worth reflecting on: love is not ownership. You can never truly own another human being, not their time, not their loyalty, not their attention. All you can do is inspire them to choose you over and over again. And the way you inspire that choice is by honoring their individuality. By saying, "I want all of you, not just the parts of you that fit into my expectations." Respecting boundaries also means you don't try to control her emotional world. If she says she needs time alone, you trust that it's not a rejection of you. It's a commitment to her own well-being. If she says she's not ready to share something, you give her the space to open up when she feels safe. If she has limits about how she wants to communicate or resolve conflict, you take those limits seriously. These aren't obstacles, they're guideposts showing you how to love her better. And make no mistake, this kind of respect goes both ways. Just as you honor her independence, you should expect her to honor yours. A healthy relationship isn't one person disappearing into the other. It's two whole individuals choosing to walk side by side. That's why the most lasting attraction isn't born from dependency, but from interdependence, the ability to rely on each other without losing yourselves in the process. From a practical standpoint, this means encouraging her pursuits rather than competing with them. If she's working late on a project that matters to her, you're not sulking because you wanted her attention. You're proud that she's chasing something she believes in. If she wants to spend the weekend visiting friends, you're not keeping score. You're glad she has a life outside the relationship. Because here's the thing: the more fulfilled she is in her own life, the more she has to bring back into yours. And there's an undeniable attraction in a man who can love without control. It communicates strength. Because only a man who is secure in himself can allow the woman he loves to have her own orbit, her own gravity. It tells her, "God, I don't need to clip your wings to keep you close. I trust that if you want to be here, you will be A. So if you want to be truly desired, stop trying to own her and start honoring her. Show her that her independence isn't something you tolerate. It's something you value. When you do, you'll notice she comes to you not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire. Because in the end, the love that lasts is the love that chooses you freely, not the love that stays because it's trapped. Integrity is one of those words people throw around, but when you look at how they actually live, it's often missing in action. If you strip away the surface level charm, the physical attraction, the social status, what's left, what really determines whether someone is worth trusting, is integrity. And in the case of men who are truly desired, this is non-negotiable. Integrity isn't just about telling the truth when it's easy. It's about telling the truth when it costs you something. It's doing the right thing even when nobody's watching, even when nobody would find out if you cut a corner, bent the rules, or played a little dirty. And the reason this matters so much in attraction is because it communicates reliability. Women are drawn to men they can count on because reliability signals safety, stability, and strength of character. Psychologically, consistency is one of the building blocks of trust. The brain craves predictability from the table it's close to. If a man is unpredictable in his words or actions, saying one thing today, doing another tomorrow, her nervous system never relaxes. She's always on alert, always wondering if this time will be the time he doesn't follow through. Over time, that unpredictability erodes attraction. It's not exciting, it's exhausting. On the flip side, when a man's actions match his words again and again, it creates a kind of quiet confidence in the relationship. She doesn't have to second-guess his promises because history has shown her they mean something. And here's where a lot of men underestimate themselves. They think they need grand romantic gestures to impress a woman, when in reality, the most attractive thing you can do is simply be dependable. Show up when you say you will. Keep your word. Own your mistakes and make them right. Philosophically, integrity is about alignment. Living in a way where your values, your words, and your actions point in the same direction. You can't call yourself an honest man if you're lying to people for convenience. You can't call yourself loyal if you're faithful only when it's easy. You can't claim to respect others if you only treat them well when they're useful to you. And here's the thing women see through that. Authenticity, or the lack of it, always leaks through in the long run. A man with integrity doesn't just keep promises to others, he keeps promises to himself. If he says he's going to take care of his health, he does it. If he sets a goal, he follows through. That kind of discipline builds self-respect, and self-respect radiates outward. A woman can sense when a man has standards for himself because it shows in the way he moves through the world. And when she sees that, she knows those standards will extend to the way he treats her. Now let's be clear, having integrity doesn't mean you're perfect. In fact, perfection isn't even the goal. What matters is that when you fall short, and you will, you own it. You take responsibility instead of deflecting blame. You repair instead of avoiding. That humility not only reinforces trust, it deepens connection. Because nothing says strength like the ability to admit when you're wrong and make it right. And in the modern world, where so many people are conditioned to curate an image rather than build character, integrity stands out like a beacon. It's rare to meet someone who is the same person in public and in private, the same person when they're getting what they want and when they're not. But when a man has that consistency, it makes him magnetic. Because it feels safe to invest in someone who won't change his principles depending on the weather. Women don't just want a man they can be proud of in private. They want a man they can be proud of in public. A man whose name carries weight because people know he stands for something. That pride isn't about status. It's about character. It's about being able to say, this is who I'm with and I trust him not just with my heart, but with my respect you. So if you want to be the kind of man who is deeply desired, start with this, mean what you say and say what you mean. Don't make promises lightly, but once you make them, keep them. Live in such a way that if someone spoke about you when you weren't in the room, your character would defend itself. Because in the end, charm may open the door, but integrity is what keeps it from closing above. One of the most overlooked traits in truly desirable men is their ability to bring joy and playfulness into a relationship. It's easy to underestimate this, to think that attraction is sustained only by intensity, ambition, or deep conversations. Those things matter, of course. But without moments of lightness, a relationship can become heavy, even suffocating. The most magnetic men understand that laughter isn't just entertainment. It's connection. Playfulness isn't about being immature or not taking life seriously. It's about knowing when to put down the weight of the world and share a moment that reminds you both why you enjoy each other's company. It's the ability to shift from discussing life's challenges to teasing her in a way that makes her smile. It's the shared inside jokes, the spontaneous adventures, the little sparks of unpredictability that keep the connection feeling alive. Psychologically, this matters more than most people realize. Playfulness reduces stress. It triggers dopamine, which not only feels good but strengthens the emotional bond between two people. In moments of play, the brain associates the other person with pleasure, lightness, and comfort. Qualities that make someone not just loved, but wanted. A man who can bring joy into the relationship shows that he's emotionally resilient. Life will throw challenges at both of you. Loss, stress, uncertainty, and the ability to create moments of levity in the middle of all that signals strength. It tells her that you won't let the relationship be swallowed by the hardships of life. that you know how to create warmth even when the environment feels cold. Philosophically, joy is an act of defiance. It says, I refuse to let the harshness of the world dictate the state of my spirit. When you can carry that into your relationship, you become a source of energy rather than a drain. And here's the key, that energy is contagious. When she feels lighter around you, when you can make her laugh even when she didn't think she could, she begins to associate you with relief, comfort, and emotional safety. That's not just attractive, it's magnetic. Of course, this kind of playfulness has to be rooted in respect. There's a difference between teasing that brings you closer and jokes that cut her down. The goal is never to make her the punchline, but to share the laugh. This is where emotional intelligence comes in, reading her mood, knowing when she's open to play and when she needs seriousness. It's about having range, and it's not only about humor, and it's about a willingness to be spontaneous. That could mean surprising her with something small, like changing plans to watch the sunset, or suggesting a detour just because you saw a spot that looked interesting. These moments break the monotony, making the relationship feel less like a routine and more like an ongoing adventure. They remind her that life with you isn't predictable in a stale way. It's predictable in the sense that she can count on you to make it interesting. Many men underestimate how much joy can influence attraction over time. The early stages of a relationship are full of novelty. Everything is new, exciting, and fun. But as that novelty fades, it's the men who keep injecting joy into the relationship who maintain desire. Without that, relationships can slip into a purely functional mode. Two people sharing a life but forgetting to actually live it together. And here's the truth, joy deepens intimacy just as much as vulnerability does. It opens people up. It lowers defenses. You can't fake laughter. It's a genuine emotional response, and when it's shared, it creates a kind of closeness that's hard to replicate with words alone. A man who knows how to create that becomes more than just a partner. He becomes her safe place, her escape, and her favorite part of the day. So if you want to be unforgettable, don't just be strong, protective, or reliable. Be fun to be around. Be the reason she laughs without meaning to. Be the one who can turn an ordinary Tuesday into a memory worth holding on to. Life will provide plenty of heaviness all on its own. What it needs, what if she needs, is someone who knows how to let the light in. Because in the end, the man who can make her feel safe will win her trust, but the man who can make her laugh will win her heart.